Mossy friends! My name is Christine, aka Mossy Motham, and welcome to my channel! Oh, we have a featured guest, our wonderful Cara. Say hello!
Hello.
So, we are doing a collab. We did a build challenge. So, did you want to talk about the rules that we set up for the build challenge?
Sure. So basically, we each picked out 30 items for the other person to use, as well as 30 items for ourselves to use. So Christine picked out 30 and I picked out 30, and we both have to use the combined 60. And we're doing it in halves, just so that we didn't have to buy all of the furniture items. And we're required to use everything, but we are allowed to duplicate some of the items if we need more, which is unlikely because it's very hard to shove 60 items in one room. I thought it was fun. I managed to do it, and you managed to do it, so it's possible.
Yeah, and I did use double bookshelves.
Yeah.
So that I'm glad we did add that. And I think there was like 2 simple panels or something like that as well.
Yeah, I think I ended up doing 3 simple panels, and I also duplicated the climbing walls.
It was a complete mystery what items each of us picked out. The only thing we decided beforehand was that I was going to pick out the wallpaper and that Cara was going to pick out the flooring. We didn't know what items we were, so that's why for some of the items we both picked out, as well as some more challenging items that were a lot harder to squeeze in. Like, before we came up with the idea of having it be okay for us to duplicate items, I was worried that we would have too many items that can go on top of tables, like the smaller items. So that's why I was like, okay, well, for 2 of my 30 items I'm allowed to pick, I want to have tea tables out. So, complete mystery what items we picked out until we actually visited each other's islands and all the items were laid out on the ground and we cataloged them. Then we each wrote out a list of what the items were typed out, so then when we actually went to build, we could make sure we didn't miss any items. Here we are, editing Christine. I'm going to be doing a voiceover for this part because this build actually took me about 2 hours in total once I was at Harv's Island, figuring out how exactly I was going to cram in all of these items. And looking back, there were some items that I did miss. I talk about this later on in the video once I show the build to Cara. I missed out on the climbing wall and I believe the Zen cushion I forgot. So first off, we can see that I'm deciding which custom design I want to put on this simple panel. I was thinking at one point of putting, it's actually one of Cara's custom design codes, a really cool like balcony window, but then I decided that instead I was going to have it be one of my own custom designs that I've made. It's supposed to look like the credits after a movie or a TV show. So it's almost like a big giant TV in the middle of the room. Then I was going back and forth for a while of what custom designs I wanted on the lampshades, and I winded up staying with the leaf pattern. And of course, in every single video, all custom design codes that I use will be in the description of this video. I try not to use too many custom designs in this video because I want people to have more accessibility to these items, so a lot of the times I try to just use the pre-made game swatches instead of my own. But for the simple panels and the lampshades, I did, of course, use other people's creations. And of course, if you want to watch Cara's half of the video where she's building it, and I'm talking with her about her build, please, of course, watch her half of the video. Link will be in the description. So because we didn't know what items each each of us picked out until we actually like revealed them to each other. We weren't sure, you know, what wood tones we would all use or whatever, which when I talk to Cara later on, she explains that that's why she picked the flooring, because it has a whole bunch of different wood tones that can tie them all together. Personally, when I was picking out my items, I was going for wood tones that had red tints underneath it. And then I didn't want it to just be like all wood. I wanted to bring some color in, so when I added in the cat items like the cat tree and the litter box, I wanted to bring some pink in because I thought, okay, I don't want to have such bright red items, but pink is kind of similar enough to red that it can be easily tied in. And of course, we both picked lots of plants, so having that green botanical rug was another way of adding some color in. And I decided to pick this wallpaper, one, because I think it's really cool. I super enjoy any of the animated wallpapers that we have, as well as animated flooring, but I was kind of viewing this as, at least when I was building it, like glass walls, instead of it being this weird abyss, like just kind of a room where you can just see glass all around you and you're actually looking outside. The first area of the build that I was kind of working on was this fireplace area, and I kind of wanted it to be in the middle back because I liked it to feel like it's centered. And later on you'll see with, I add on the wall, it's the mom's embroidery items. Because we could duplicate items, I was able to, even though there was only one on the list, I used 3. So it made a nice framing around the rocking chair. And I love this lacy rug item. I didn't have it cataloged before, but it's so cute. It's one of the Sahara items, and I kind of wish I would have used 2 of the rugs, but then I thought it would have been too repetitive, because I wanted the lacy rug underneath the desk area with the bookshelves, as well as under the fireplace area, because it kind of gave that separation of color so the wood tones weren't too drowned out by each other. So I had a rough idea of the fireplace area, then I kind of worked on the back couch living room area, and as you can see, the simple panel designs that I was mentioning with the credits on it. At first I was thinking I wanted to squeeze the tea table in between the 2 couches, but my goal for this was I kind of wanted it to have an open floor plan instead of like a harsh divide in between rooms. Like there are more natural divides, like the back of the couch kind of separates the living room area from the main office area, but there isn't like a huge bookshelf separating them, if that makes any sense. So as I was saying, I kind of wanted that table in between because it was a good way of using up such a big and bulky item, but at the same time I wanted it to seem like your character could almost sit on the couch, which of course you can't, unfortunately, but I was trying really hard for this room, and of course for all of my builds, to be usable and you're able to sit down on all of the items. I really struggled with the wood-burning stove because it's a really cool item, but it is so tall that I didn't want to, put it in the middle of the room by the other fireplace, because then I feel like it would have been blocking any items behind it. So I knew then that it had to be against a wall. And even though we didn't talk about what we did for the builds until obviously after we did them, both Cara and I winded up doing very similar concepts to each other. We both did a sort of mini apartment style, like a studio apartment build. The only thing, of course, we don't have are any bathroom items or a fridge. But, you have cake, so that's all you need to eat. Between the 2 of us, we have a few coffee cups and, of course, Mom's cake, so I'm sure you could survive. Here I was deciding where exactly I wanted the mushroom rug to go, because I think it has a very cool shape to it, but it's very similar to the flooring. I do decide later on to keep it under the fireplace area. And what I really love to put on top of the bookshelves, well, you can't exactly put any items on top of it, unfortunately, but I like to create the illusion that there's that potted ivy plant on top of it. So it's a wall item, but if you center it on top of the bookshelf, it kind of looks like it's sitting on top. I also did 3 of the hanging terrariums to kind of fill up that wall space next to the couch, which later on will be moved when I remember that I have to put a climbing wall in. It was very hard trying to move some of the bigger items around because I wanted to get the bigger items figured out first and then work on the smaller details, but it was actually really hard to do that due to there not being enough space to actually move them, so I had to keep on shuffling around the small items just to have a big enough space for me to move the bigger items. Then I was deciding on if I wanted to have the fireplace against the wall or if I wanted to have it more in the middle, and I go back to my original idea of having the rocking chair against the wall and then the fireplace in the middle. I just liked having the mom's embroidery, the 3 of them wrapping around the chair. I feel like that was really cool, and it wasn't something I can really replicate with the fireplace on the back wall. Here I was deciding for a little bit if I wanted to have those really cool simple panel designs instead of the credits on these simple panels, because I was thinking it would be cool to have the illusion of like windows, but I wanted to use it in the center room almost as if there were 2 apartments next to each other, but then I was like, that doesn't really seem that realistic. So then I went back to having the fireplace in the middle to kind of create that hallway space. Because I didn't want to have harsh divides between rooms, but I wanted to have that kind of empty walkway in the center. I'm really surprised that neither of us picked out a music player for one of our items. I am actually very glad that we didn't, because I love the ambient sounds of like the rain falling and the fireplace noises. But it's normally when I make builds, I like to have some kind of music playing because it gets so quiet otherwise. But for this instance, I really enjoy not having it. There were a few items that I really struggled with, one of them being the magazine rack, because yes, it is an item that can go on top of another surface, but I felt like if it was on top of another surface, it was too tall, because at first I was going to put it next to the rocking chair like I did with the stack of books, which is another item that can go on, but for the same reason I thought it was too tall, and if you're sitting down, I feel like it would have felt claustrophobic having these 2 huge items next to you while you're stuck in the middle. So that's why I chose to just put them on the floor. As well as we didn't have a crazy amount of surface areas to put them on. Then I remembered that I forgot to put in the kitty litter box, which I didn't want to have all of the pink items in one corner because at first I thought, okay, well, I was the one that picked out the pink desktop, the pink cat tower, the pink mom's cake, as well as the pink kitty litter box. So I thought about maybe having like a cat corner by the office space, but then I thought it would make the room seem more flowing and connecting to have it kind of spread out throughout the build. I'm finishing up the final touches. There were just a few items that I had placed in the center of the room that I really didn't know what I wanted to do with, which was a few of the plants as well as the mini Christmas tree. I decided that instead of having two different lamps next to the fake TV, I only needed one for the build, so I replaced one of them with one of the plants. I kept on getting out of the build mode and then going back into actually walking through the room because, like I said, one of my original goals was I wanted this room to be accessible and you can actually walk through it, but then I realized later that it was almost impossible to be able to do that. So that's why you'll see me jumping between the two. And I love some of the items, like that little desk that you can interact with and it actually opens up. Little secret. So at this point, I am completely done with the build and I'm just walking through it and just kind of taking some good screenshots. I am so happy with how this turned out. I started off doing this little like living room area.
Very nice.
So I have a custom design that I've made that has like the credits screen. So I kind of made it as like a big TV.
Oh, you made that.
And then back here we have like a little desk area, and that's where I use the bookcases. And of course we have Rover's briefcase picking out, and our little cat tree.
You're going to laugh so hard when you see what I did in the room because some of
Yeah.
the furniture placement is hilarious compared to yours.
Is it similar or no?
It's very similar. And I don't know how we managed it.
And over here in the back, we kind of have like a kitchen-esque area with a stove. And I don't know. I really kind of struggled with that because it's such a tall item.
Yeah. I put the climbing wall behind it because the
Gotcha,
climbing
and
wall's so tall.
now that I'm realizing it, I totally forgot, and I will definitely add it in.
You can
I
just
just
shove
wanted to
it
show you.
like behind the couch or something. It is really annoying
Which
to take pictures, so when I show you mine, I'm just going to flip through some recorded bits from the camera because it's kind of an issue. The climbing walls are really ugly from the wrong direction. Yeah, I always use them backwards, but sometimes it peeks out a little bit. So it works with this wall. And I also just did a build using the Aurora wall. Have to have a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, right. I also really love how, I mean, I had saw it in one of your videos. I never really thought to hang like your extra paintings on the wall.
Oh yeah,
It's
I
such
love
a good
doing that.
idea.
I'm realizing as I look at this that I misunderstood what rug you wanted me to use. The botanical rug was. I used
Oh,
the
okay.
Nook leaf, and I was so frustrated with it because the color scheme just didn't go with anything.
Oh no.
And it was the wrong one.
'Cause I mean, I love having like so many plants around. So I was like, I want to kind of incorporate that more on the floor in case, we have a brown floor.
Yeah.
I love how this turned out, honestly.
hmm I've never used the animated walls like these without covering most of it up with panels because,
Really?
yeah, there's something weird about it to me. I like how it came out for you. It just makes me like uncomfortable when I first start designing a room because there's no walls.
Mm.
It's like, okay, I can't just put an item on this. And then I see people who've done it like you have. And it's like, oh, it works. But like just starting, it's hard for me to make myself like put a little embroidery hoop on like rain.
Yeah, yeah.
Like what's it going
I
on?
just I kind of think of it as like clear glass windows
Yeah,
everywhere.
I tried to do that. I think that helped a lot. But even then it's like, okay, where's the snail going on glass?
Yeah, yeah. Unless you have some really hard like sticky tape or something.
It's fine. A lot of Animal Crossing stuff makes no sense when you think about it.
I also want to add, I didn't have this lacy rug before you showed it to me for the build, and I love it so much. Is this a Sahara item?
It is, and you can order it from Nookstop. So it's
Yeah, I
catalogable.
I immediately I was like, oh my gosh, I need to have this. It's so cute. I really kind of wanted to have two and have one under the fireplace area, but then I was like, then it's just too many rugs and I didn't know where to put it. I kind of have like two office areas. I had thought about putting this like over here, but then I was like, I really like this setup of like this, and this was too small of a
Yeah.
space to shove like another desk.
hmm
And I like to make, I mean, like, yeah, it's really tight, but I'd like the illusion that you can kind of still walk in and like use all the items.
Yeah, that's really nice. Mine's definitely not walkable,
Yeah.
but it's because
Like,
I
I mean,
made so many walls.
I still can't, sit on any of the chairs,
hmm
but it's a good illusion. So yeah, this is my build.
I'm really impressed by how open you managed to keep it with these giant tables because those things are huge, and I had so much trouble fitting them both in. What was the most challenging thing for you to fit, by the way?
Yeah, definitely, I would say, definitely say the tables themselves, just because I think it's like the only four tile item.
Yeah, they are enormous.
Yeah, it's either the tables or the black stove back there just because of how tall it is. Like really realistic, but I was worried about putting it here next to the bookcase in case
Yeah.
I don't know, it caught fire, which I know it doesn't, but
Oh,
I was thinking
I
about
always
that.
worry about putting rugs underneath the fireplaces. I'm like, that's a fire hazard. I can't do it, even though it's literally like fake.
Yeah, it's literally like you can do whatever, but just my instincts are like, I don't like that.
hmm
Make sure everyone to watch Cara's video. It's going to be in the description, and I'm so excited to see how this video or how your build turned out.
I'm really excited to show it to you.
Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!